Hi there, we're going to make this little skull with a blanket stitch and 3 buttons and a safety pin and some thread. So let's get started. Part of your packet you have this. When you cut this, you'll need some scissors. So when you cut this, you're going to go on the outside of your skull. So you're going to keep the lines. So for instance, like this. But we don't necessarily want to see the lines, or you could show the lines if you want it, if that's going to be part of your art form. But if you don't, just put it this way. And you want to make sure, because it's not a perfect symmetrical, so you don't want to go like this. Maybe that's actually the one. That's the way it should go. But you want to be able to line it up. So if you did go like this, then it doesn't line up perfectly. There's an overlapping. So that way we don't see the lines. All right, so now that we know actually that this black line is going to go on the inside, let's go ahead and start working on our button sewing. All right, you received one of these packets with this and also a button, and I have leftover from a previous packet, so I'm not going to open this one. I'm going to use my leftovers from a previous packet, and then here are my buttons. We'll go ahead and take out our buttons. You also received a needle and a pin and another needle, this needle that came with this packet, and but we can use that as a pin. The hole is so small, so that's why I provided you with this needle. I have thread from a previous piece of work. I'm going to put that aside. Normally I would just use that, but I just want to show you something, how we're going to thread this project. We're going to do 2 threads at the same time. So I'm not sure if you can see it here, just because we want a little bit of bulk, and quite often we use a thicker thread, but we already have these needles, and so the 2 threads work fine on this, but there's a thicker kind of almost like a yarn. It would not fit into the needle hole, but so we're making do. All right, so let's go ahead and get 2 pieces of thread. And you can do any 2 at the same time, but let me find my white. So I'll do the white and the gray since they're next to each other, and then I could just unravel them at the same time. And get this brown out of the way. All right. I'm gonna hold on to that brown to get that, keep that out of the way. So now that I have this white and the gray, I'm just gonna take these at the same time. So that way they're just already aligned because they're perfectly measured by machine, so why do double work? You can choose any 2 colors. I'm choosing the 2 that are next to each other, so I'm just trying to save myself a little bit of work. So sometimes I could pull this out, but it's not working this time. I'm going to get my brown out of the way, and then we'll get my pair of scissors and cut the gray and the white. Okay, I have to make a series of short videos because sometimes the phone rings and sometimes someone just walks in and needs my help. So that's why you're going to see a whole bunch of little video clips for one project. All right, so now I'm going to get my bigger needle and pull this out. And I'm always going to use my little felt as a place to put my needles and pins, or pins and needles, however you want to go. So I'm going to take these 2 pieces of thread and just thread my needle. Oops, I didn't get it. And it takes a few times to get this. There we go, I think I got it this time, yes. All right, so I'm going to give myself a nice big tail. I'm not going to go all the way to the bottom. Do you see how it stopped? And let me do that again. So you see how I'm not going to go all the way to the bottom? Sometimes people do that, and that's fine. And now I have this. I need to tie this into a knot. So while I do that, I'm going to put my needle back on its home base. So just in case it falls in this big chunk, and it'll be easy to find and so forth. Needles and pins are difficult to find sometimes. Now I'm going to tie a knot. All right, and I'm going to shut off the video and then come back and show you the knot.